Welcome everyone to this AMZ Scout webinar where we're going to learn how to use the AMZ Scout Pro extension like an expert. I'm Alexis from AMZ Scout. Maybe you guys have heard me speak previously and host on some webinars, or maybe you've just heard some other hosts shout out my name in the background. Normally I'm around, but I love doing these tutorial style webinars because we're going to find niches that are going to generate some serious amount of money. Now, I know that all of your time is very valuable, so we're going to try to keep this short, definitely under an hour, because we know that we're really trying to keep this accurate, concise, and efficient, just like your product research should be. So let's get into it, starting with AMZ Scout. Well, who are we? Well, I know you guys have heard of us because you guys are here listening to this now, but why should you guys trust us? Well, we're a software company who prides itself on developing products, basically software for over 100,000 users and companies. What makes us different is our focus on our users. We spend an incredible amount of time speaking to real sellers, real users, learning about their real pains, their struggles, and what we do is come up with solutions for them. What also makes us really useful is we're available in 9 different countries, and essentially the software that we create is centered around data collection and analysis, and the idea is to help you make your business decisions because you're given accurate data. What we also do really well is we help find profitable niches that are going to make you, again, some serious amount of money, anywhere between 5,000 to 100,000 per month. So if you don't want to trust our word for it, you can also trust our actual users. Yes, Disney, L'Oreal, Cisco all use AMZ Scout. And you might be thinking, well, why do they use AMZ Scout? I don't really understand. Well, Amazon has essentially revolutionized the e-commerce space and the idea of retail. And all of these consumers have kind of caught on, but the corporations are a little bit slower. So they're trying to do the same thing you guys are, and that's find the profitable opportunities within Amazon, help them forecast some trends, to help them come up with some things to really combat and even join in to generate some sales. So we also have obviously a lot of real life users. Here are just a few: Shimmy, Tanner, Crescent. You guys might recognize these names: Griffin, Guillermo, Andrew, all influencers who know, love, and trust us. But if you don't want to rely on the influencers, we also have a ton of real users. You can find stories like Mario's and David's on our blog. These guys are both 6-figure sellers who were just like you guys one time, starting out and took the leap to be an entrepreneur. And they both say that they couldn't have done it without AMZ Scouts. But why don't you guys find out for yourself? And if you're interested in finding out more about their stories or all the other ones that we post, check out our blog. So let's get started into why we are all here. And it's essentially the appeal of Amazon FBA. Now, I have a definition for you right here, but it's essentially the system in which Amazon does all of your logistics. We're talking about storing, pick and pack, so shipping and customer service and returns for the products. But what you also get with it, and this is the most important part, is the Amazon customers. This is kind of the draw. I don't know about you guys, but when I am looking to purchase something or I think I need something, the first place I look is on Amazon. I'm sure many of you guys do the same thing. It's the same reason why it's so valuable to sell on Amazon. And what also makes it possible, especially with Amazon FBA, is it's extremely cost effective and allows you to scale your business like any other industry. If this is your first go around and maybe you only want to source 100 units of a product, and you are later finding out that the demand for the product is 1,000 units, you can pretty easily next time just order 1,000 units. You don't have to worry about things like warehouse space, like how are you going to house it, how are you going to take care of whatever it is. Everything's pretty much done for you. What also makes it extremely enticing is the people who have already been there and found incredible amount of success with it. That's 66 of the top 10,000 sellers use FBA. So they already use the thing that you are trying to use, and you can get there because they did it. And another thing to note is there are over 140,000 sellers that have surpassed 100,000 in revenue. So this is a real thing. People are making some serious amount of money with this. Now, if you haven't quite bought into the third party thing, you can actually just look at the statistics with how much third party generates. Really, since 2016, they can account for at least 50% of all units sold. Like, that's insane. Every other one that you sell is coming from a third party seller. That could be you, that could be me, that could be any of us. And if that's still not impressive enough, if you look at just the revenue chart that we have here for you, I know this only goes to 2017, but just look at the trajectory. And if we compare it to the last graph that we just looked at, that means that third party sellers essentially have made 90 billion in revenue in 2017. Like, that's like, what? It's crazy. What also is really interesting is seeing how Amazon dominates the normal retail holidays, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and this particular graph. And you can just see that Amazon, like, nothing's even coming close. When you're doing your Black Friday shopping, most people are buying things on Amazon. And one of the reasons, again, why it's so enticing is because of the Prime members. Now, Prime is Amazon's membership. You pay a subscription fee per year and you're given some perks, so like 2-day shipping, things like that. And what's so amazing is that Prime members are actually willing to spend more money statistically on an item that they can get the Prime services on than an item that they can't. So it's just, I mean, you just look at the progress and how they've done, how Amazon has set this up. Obviously, this only goes to 2017. If you look at 2019, they're well over 100 million users for Prime members. And then you just look at the average spending per year. Prime members spend $1,300 per year on Amazon products. Non-members, it's not too shabby, $700, still a lot of money. And it's, again, the whole thought that when you're looking for something, the first place you go to is Amazon. And Amazon actually programs to show in the algorithm to make sure that their customers are happy. That's kind of like their primary goal. So this reflects that. So enough about Amazon. We get it. It's amazing. Let's get into how you can kind of do exactly what those other third-party and FBA sellers are doing, find products, source them, and make some serious money. So in this webinar, our focus is learning how to use AMZ Scout like the experts, and we're going to focus on 3 things. It's going to be using the data, how to analyze niches quickly, and we're going to go over some real life examples. I'm even going to go into a screen flow and show you guys a legit product research session where I'm just going to go through it, tell you what I like, what I don't like through what we're learning through this. We're not faking this for you. We're showing you that this is things that you can really do in real life. So we're going to start with using the data, because when you have data and you have insight, you're able to make better decisions. Now, what do we mean when we're talking about using the data? Well, we're talking about the Pro extension. That's going to be pictured to your right. Now, it has 10 plus data points. It actually probably has 20 plus data points, but it essentially focuses on 4 things. You have accuracy, history, analyzation, and time. So just for this example, I picked a particular niche that we are going to be doing some research on just for the first go around, and that's gold rimmed plastic cups. So on a normal search, this is what someone who typed that in would see. Now you can open the extension up on 2 different ways, or by 2 different ways. You've got the bottom left corner by just clicking it open. And you also have on the search bar, the higher search bar of your Google browser, by opening up that little app extension, and it's going to give you this. So if you're looking at this for the first time, or maybe you've seen it before, but you were just so overwhelmed because you didn't know what to look at, I get it. It's extremely overwhelming, especially if you don't understand how to analyze all of this information. It's quite a lot. So we try to make this easy for you, and we separated it into essentially 2 different categories. You have your niche evaluation, so it's an overview of the niche on a particular page that you're on. And I didn't mention this before, but what I mean about niche, or what a niche is, it's essentially what is typed into that search bar for Amazon. It's what's going to pop up when someone just goes on, types it in. So this particular case, it's gold-rimmed plastic cups. So you get a little bit of an overview, monthly sales, monthly sales rank, average price, things like this. And then you're also given some extra features on the end. And if you're ever interested in going on to maybe what's on the second search page, you can just hit the next page button on that bottom left, and it'll send you to that next page on that Amazon search. But that second section is going to be the information on each listing. So this is each particular listing that's listed on that Amazon search page in order. But now that we have a good overview, this is what we're essentially here for. When you're doing your product research, you need to have your targets. And what we mean by targets is things that you're explicitly looking at to verify if you think that this is going to be a good niche or a viable option. Now we're looking at things like BSR, price, reviews, margin, sales, room for improvement, and is it easy to enter? Now, the most important thing to remember is that it's a balancing act. Not that often where you're going to find that golden goose, that golden egg that's going to fit every single parameter that you want. So you might have to take a look at your business plan, figure out what works for you. We can give you some basics, but this is again something that you need to figure out for yourself. Are you looking for something that has a higher margin? Because maybe you have to give up the price point or the BSRs, things like that. Maybe something might have more reviews than what you'd like, but it has everything else. So there's certain things that you need to make decisions for yourself. They all kind of teeter out, and we'll go through some of those. But first things first, we're going to quickly evaluate this niche because it's probably the most important part. If the niche isn't good, isn't a viable option, then there's really no reason to pursue looking at particular listings or product ideas. If it's not good, just move on. So again, we can kind of see the overview of the niche. Since I'm going to go into more specifics later, I'm not going to go over it. I'm going to stick to the features that allow me to evaluate the niche the quickest. And that's going to be the 3 features all the way to the right, starting with the niche score. Now, the niche score essentially is a score that's 1 through 10 that evaluates the niche as a whole. If you click on it, it opens up and you're given a ton of information just right there in front of you. Like you can see, the overall score, it's rated an 8. It's very likely to succeed. That's kind of the process because something might have like a 1 or a 2, but what you need to remember is that people are making money there. So it doesn't make it a bad niche. It just maybe will be tougher to enter. So this is obviously split into 3 main categories. You got profit, you got demand, you have competition. I'm not going to go over the things that are great about it, but I am going to highlight some of the things that we might have to overcome if we are looking to get into this niche and compete. And the first thing that I noticed is that first red mark, well, that bottom red mark all the way on competition at the bottom. And this niche is extremely monopolistic. That means that there are only certain listings that are getting kind of like all the sales. Now, you kind of have 2 views on this. You can think, oh, like I don't really want to get into a monopolistic area. I want to be in one where a lot of the listings share kind of the sales evenly. Now, the other way to look at it is if it's a really profitable niche, you're just looking for a slice of that pie. So you might not need the lion's share, but you're just looking for your slice. The other thing that I really notice is right above extremely monopolistic, you see very high average rating. So what that essentially means is that the listing is very good and the product is very good. It's good quality, has good ratings. So what you need to remember when you're making it is that you need to make an excellent product to compete with other excellent products. The other thing that we can use is the niche history. Now, this is probably my favorite feature because if you open it up, you're given a comprehensive history over a year. I'm sorry, a year. And you're given sales, rank, and price all in one. You don't have to flip between tabs. You can see everything you need to know about the niche in one. You're given the full year, which is so amazing. So I can immediately already tell that there's more sales generated kind of right around holidays. You see a spike around maybe Thanksgiving. Looks like maybe New Year's Eve has a little bit of a spike. But I can kind of analyze a niche quickly. Is this worth pursuing, or should I move on? The next feature is our newest feature. It's called the saturation score. It's actually, again, a scale 1 through 10, and a 10 essentially it means, the reason why it's red is that a lot of people who have been using the extension have found this niche. So you already know off the bat how many people using the extension have found a particular niche. You don't have to keep wondering, well, I don't know if this is going to be a good product. I feel like everybody would have found it. Or you can look at it and say, I think this is a good product. I don't think there's that many people that would take the opportunity to source it. This is something I want to pursue. But you're given the information to make a decision off of. Now, as we verified that this seems to be a good listing to kind of pursue and look a little bit deeper into, and again, remember, I'm just talking through it, so it's going to take a lot longer. I could have done that in maybe 30 seconds, gone through everything and evaluated it. This can be done really quickly. We're just going through piece by piece so you guys can understand the mindset, the things you should be looking at, and understand more of the features on the extension that you can utilize. So now we're on the information on each listing. And there's a few things to point out from the jump. One is if you run your cursor over any product name, you're going to get their stock photo or the photo that's displayed on the search first, or when you click the listing first. This is a great way to kind of see the differentiation. Is there a lot of different products in this particular niche? Is it essentially the same? And the other thing that I kind of noticed right away with this one is it's a lot of the same brand. I'm not going to say it because I'm going to embarrass myself if I try to say it, but the one that starts with an M has essentially monopolized the page. Now, this is a great system if you're trying to build your business. You kind of find a niche that really works well, you feel like you're earning a lot of money, and you just make variations of it to cover the entire search page of a particular niche. But that's something that you can learn in a more advanced class. We're going to stick to our product research. And next up, we're going to notice the sponsored listings. Now, the sponsored listings are really important to note because this is listings that particular sellers are paying to have posted so high. So when we're doing our product research, we don't really want to take that information into account. So again, we're going to go back to our targets. We got BSR, price, reviews, margin, sales. Is there room for improvement, and how easy is it to enter? These are all important to know when we're doing our product research when we go forward. So we're going to start with BSR. Now, BSR is the best seller ranked. It's a score Amazon assigns to a listing based on their A9 algorithm. Now, it uses sales volume and historical data. It says it changes hourly. It changes way more than that, like thousands and thousands of times a day. But here's the kind of breakdown. To have a goal BSR is going to be completely category dependent, depending what category, what department you are looking to either source in or be in. Your goal BSR is going to be different. So we have a chart for you guys. Now, Amazon obviously has like millions of products. Just off the bat, I'm looking at tools and home improvement, over 6 million, home and kitchen, 12 million, electronics, 11 million. It's just a crazy number. So they have this system that kind of dictates how often it sells, things like that, again, with the BSR. So in this particular listing that we are looking at, we're looking at home and kitchen. So the top 1% of home and kitchen is 129,000 essentially. And like, that's crazy. Like, that's just the top 1%. I'd say in general, when you're looking at home and kitchen, you're looking at things that sell quickly. You're really looking for things that are going to sell or have the BSR rank of under like 50,000, maybe even 60. I know some sellers who will tell you only look for things under 30, only look for things under 100. If you're a bookseller, they might tell you look for items under $1 million. Some say 2 million, depending on the profit there. But again, it's going to greatly depend on which category that you are in. So when we look at our gold-rimmed plastic cups, we can see that the sales rank is a little under 30,000, or I'm sorry, over 30,000. So that's not bad, but we can also see pretty quickly that the first few listings on the first page are looking pretty good as well. We have one that's 78,000, but everything else is pretty low. So it's looking like you have to be a pretty low to be on this first page. It definitely piques my interest. And you can see it reflected in the average monthly sales. It's over 300 monthly sales, which means it kind of corresponds to the average sales rank being pretty good. I would think 365, we'll go into it a little bit later, is a pretty good number. The other cool feature that the Pro extension has is if you actually just run your cursor right over any particular listing that you're interested in, you can see the full breakdown. You can see what the BSR is in each department, because each department does have its own BSR. You don't have to necessarily go onto the listing, scroll down, and look at the particular department BSRs that are separated in there. You also don't necessarily have to get confused. I know a lot of people who kind of get trapped. They don't even understand that they're in a subcategory and they're like, wow, this rank is amazing. But what they don't realize is that most people don't go down to subcategories when they're looking for a particular item. They just type it in to the search bar and they expect Amazon to give them what they want. The next thing we're going to look at is price. Now we have the sweet spot, this golden parameters around 15 to 50. The reason 15 is that you don't want your price to be so low that you're not really, you don't have a good margin, you're not able to really generate the amount of profit that you need. And we kind of ended at 50 because you want something that people are just willing to go on and buy, not something that people will take a step back and have to think about to purchase, or maybe even go talk to a significant other about purchasing because it's just too much. And now we're moving on to sales. Now, sales are probably the most important aspect when you're looking at a software, because by the A9 algorithm and the average sales rank, they don't tell you the real sales. Amazon does not provide this information. So AMZ Scout is particularly accurate with this. A lot of the other softwares boast about a 20% difference. We boast about a 5 to 10% differentiation from, again, talking to real life sellers, comparing their sales to ours, and we've really been able to keen in, focus, and get it as accurate as possible. Another cool little feature is the product history. You want to be able to look at a particular product history just like you want to be able to evaluate a niche. And this allows you to do that. So you can either click on the rank, the price, or the estimated sales of a particular product or listing that you're interested in, and you're going to get this. So this is pretty cool because you can pretty much get all of the information in one. There's no like ifs, ands, or buts. You can see everything right in front of you. Quickly say, this looks good. It consistently sells. Oh, look, in February it wasn't selling well, so it had to have done something. Oh, it looks like maybe they reduced their price, and then once they were getting sales, they started to raise it again. But you are able to divulge a lot of information very quickly. And again, if you scan your cursor over, like you can see, it looks like March 29th, 2019, you can see how many sales that particular day, the rank, the price. And again, this is for a full year, it looks like. And now we're moving on to the product score feature. And this again works very much like Niche Score. If you click on it, you're able to get a good kind of synopsis about the listing in general if this was your own. So you're going to have enough profit with this product. You're going to be able to generate some sales with a low review count, which is ideal. The listing quality is average, so you can try to make a better listing to compete. So this again, if you're competing against average listings, if you make a superior listing, the chance of you generating more sales is pretty high. And you're able to generate, again, big revenue, profit, sales all go hand in hand. So moving on to reviews, like we just talked about, the average reviews here is pretty low. Ideally, we say that you want to be able to pick a niche that has under 100. A lot of people will say under 300. Again, it's going to really depend on the category that you're in, the department, and what you're looking at. There's just certain categories that people write reviews more. I don't really know anyone who, if they buy gold rimmed plastic cups for, let's say, a party, who are going to go on and write a review about it on Amazon. But obviously there are a few, because the average reviews is 41, and you can kind of see that if you're looking at each listing. I do see a few that are a little bit higher, but I see a lot that are lower, so that looks like an accurate amount. 175, 67, got 21, 18, another 18. It essentially just means that if you are entering the niche and you're trying to compete, you don't need to generate sales at first to be able to compete. You'll be able to kind of pick it up along the way to make it to 41 sales. So the other thing that we're going to look at is a room for improvement. Now this is the LQS, the listing quality score. And what essentially tells you is that it grades the listing. It goes to 100. The closer to 100, the better the listing. So anything really, I'd say 80 and above is good. But anything less, there's a lot of room for improvements, and you can actually see that if you scan your cursor over this. So it gives you a grading. If you're a current seller, I also advise you to do this to actually see what your listing is missing. If you are looking to source or you're doing your product research, you should go on this and see where you can improve these listings. The next section we're going to look at is RPR. Now, I know this is a little bit of a strange thing to have. It's revenue per reviews, but when you think about it, this is essentially what you're looking for. You're looking for products and niches that you can generate high revenue and have low reviews. So this is just a different analysis point to it. You're able to quickly just look. Even if you're looking at, let's say, niches that have a much higher review count, but they have a much higher revenue count, you're able to kind of understand, okay, well, for every one review, this is how much revenue I can generate. And you can compare it that way and find out what's worth it to you. And again, it's a balancing act, so figure out where your balance is. And now we're on to the competition. Now we have two specific, I'd say, columns that kind of show this. All the way to the right, you'll see we have a whole bunch of FBAs listed. That just tells you the type of seller this is. So all of the sellers on this particular section of the page are FBA sellers. Now there's two other categories that you might see, or initials. The one is merchant, and that's going to be MCH, and that means it's merchant seller. The other is going to be Amazon. So this is either an Amazon brand, or it is the Amazon deals or Amazon warehouse kind of doing it for them, and that's AMZ. The other side to it is the sellers. Now this is important because when you're dealing with products, it's good to know ahead of time how many hijackers there typically are. Am I dealing with name brands, things of this nature? And this is a good indicator very quickly if these are facts or not. So I can see a lot of ones, so that's telling me there's not a lot of hijackers. But again, I do see two that have 6. It looks like it's from the same brand. They might be hijackers. They might also be labelers or people who are doing arbitrage, but it's things to consider when you're doing your research. And I would actually just look in a little bit deeper to those in particular. And now we are on to margins. Now margins are so important because if you are deciding to put money into something, you want to make sure that you're going to be able to make it back. Now we put your goal as being anywhere between 25% and 50%. Yes, I know this is a massive difference, but it's going to depend greatly on the type of seller you are. Now, if you are someone who deals with arbitrage, you might be much more comfortable dealing with lower margin because you're thinking you're going to be able to resell something very quickly. Well, if you're a private labeler, you know that there's going to be more that goes into it, and you might have to work yourself up to a 50%, 60% margin, depending on what you're looking at. But what do you need to consider with your margins? You need to consider cost per unit of the product, the shipping, and the FBA fees if you're doing FBA. So now we get these net margin already listed, but one thing to consider is that the only thing that's included in calculating this margin is the FBA fees. So we have an easy way for you to do that. With the FBA calculator, it's the easiest way to estimate, and we'll show you how to do it. It's already built into your Pro extension, all there for you. You just got to click on it, and I'll show you how now. Again, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but we do have the FBA's fees listed for each listing. But if you click on the particular listing, the profit calculator will come up. Now, you can see there's already a ton of information on here, but there's also one other way that you can kind of bring up the profit calculator, and that's going to be by clicking on that arrow on the far left of a particular link that you are interested in listing, and it's going to show you a ton of different features that maybe you didn't even realize that we had, and you're going to click on the profit calculator. Now, when you bring that up, it's the same one I just showed you. It's a ton of information. The first section is you have your inputs, so product price, product cost, additional cost per unit, so that's something like your shipping, or maybe if you have like your PPC budget already included, or marketing budget, anything, you can put that in right there. And the best part is you're able to see your estimated monthly profit at the bottom right there in front of you when you input all that information. But what if you don't really know where to start? You're like, that's great if I actually knew how much it would cost per unit. Well, AMZ Scout has also taken care of that for you. You can use our Find at Alibaba button. So again, you just exit out from the profit calculator if you hit Find at Alibaba, and it will actually search the image on Alibaba. And when I did it for this one, this is what popped up. And I just chose one. I chose this one on that left side, the 12-ounce clear plastic cups. And something to note right away is the cups were being sold in pieces of 100, so it was a package of 100. So this is per piece, so I'm just going to highball it, take 9 cents per piece times 100, so it's going to cost me $9 total. But I'm going to put that in because I know I'm going to highball it. I'd rather be safe than sorry, and I can automatically see that my profit per unit is going to be $10. My net margin is going to be 33%. My ROI is over 100, and my estimated monthly profit is $7,000 on one product. One. We're not talking about two. We're not talking about three. We're talking about one product, and that's a decent amount. What's also very cool about this is that you again can fudge with a lot of the information. You're given the product weight, the product size. So if you want to do a little bit more research and you're interested in this, you can do that very easily. Because essentially your time is money. We know your time is incredibly valuable, and a lot of people are just starting out doing this part-time. They're trying to learn after work, or learn in between picking up their kids or doing their second job. So we have thought about that for you. So we have a save for later feature. So you can actually find it on the left-hand side. It's those stars. And then if you click on that particular star, it will light up. And then if you go all the way over to the right down, you're going to see a blue star. If you click on that, it's going to pop up in your favorites. Now to get out of that, you just have to click on that star again. But again, it's save for later. So if you were in the middle of your hour product research and you have to go pick up your kid, you can just save something that you're interested in and move on. Or if you are trying to find as many viable opportunities as possible in the 30 minutes that you have, you're able to do that, save it, and then come back and view it later. This is so valuable. So far, we've been able to evaluate and verify potential leads. We've been able to calculate potential earnings. Again, with that profit calculator, you can literally see how much money you can make on that product. And we've learned how to save yourself time. And again, I've been kind of explaining everything, going through everything, but you guys can see that all of that could have been done in maybe 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds. And that's obviously if you were given the leads and you already had ideas. But what if you need leads? Well, we've got that covered too. We can help you guys with some product research methods that will keep you busy for hours. So now we're on to generating lead ideas. So first we have the niche ideas button. If you just click on that button on the bottom right hand side, it says niche idea. It's going to generate a whole new idea. Now this is based off of our keyword cloud. We have thousands of products and niches in here. And this is what I got when I pressed on it this time. Bees wrap. Now I can already see some pretty awesome things about this particular niche that I'm really interested in. One, the sales rank looks good, the price looks good, the reviews look good. Obviously, saturation score isn't great. It's a 10. A lot of people have found it, but what's important to remember is that the niche ideas button can be used by everyone. So this is just, people could just click it, and they're going to find the cloud. Even though it's a massive cloud, people do stumble upon the same ideas. So again, like I said, there's a lot of people making some serious amount of money. Again, this is revenue. We're not talking about profit, but someone making 16,000 in revenue, 10,000, 32,000. And what really interests me is the net margins. Now, this is something I would definitely save for later because I'd definitely be interested in seeing what the final net margins and what my final costs and like cost per unit and all that stuff that I would definitely take some time to do if I was doing some research with this particular listing and with this particular niche. So, but we're going to continue. We got to move on. Again, we're trying to get this done under an hour. So we're going to move on to our second method of product research, which has, if anyone has done this, it's like amazing. It gives you so many different product ideas, and it's by using the keywords that are available. So we have two buttons for you. You can either use the get keywords button for a particular listing. It's going to give you the keywords that that particular listing is ranking for, or the niche keywords that's going to show you what the niche is ranking for. So I chose niche keywords, and I'm given all of these leads. So I know you guys maybe aren't looking for leads. You're like, what do you mean? Like, this isn't a lead. That's just a word. But it's what you do with the leads that matter. So I chose reusable for this one. I just copy it and I put it into my Amazon search bar and I pressed my space bar. And Amazon generates leads for me. So for this particular one, you just choose one. You just look. I chose reusable sandwich bags, and this is what it opened up to. And I can already tell you I'm 100% interested in this product. Yes, the average reviews are a bit high, but the sales rank are low. I feel like the reviews kind of counter with the monthly sales. Over 1,000 units sold per month per listing. It's like amazing. I can see how much people are making on this product. You have almost 60,000, 70,000, $220,000 on one product. What? Like, we said to 100,000 per month. This is 200,000 per month. Like, that's crazy. What also makes me really interested in this is that this is a relatively new product. You can see most of these listings are not more than like a year. I do see a few 2016s, but they seem really rare just in this listing. I see only one. So it's a new product. So if you get into it, you're still on that new before so many people get into it. It's just readily available for you. So I'm going to click, or I did click on the niche keywords button, and this is what I found. So I chose some for you guys to now go on. I can actually tell how many of you guys are on listening to this webinar, how many of you guys are viewing. So I want you guys to go onto your extensions if you have it. It's your turn to try out. So I just picked 4 leads for you. So we got reusable, leak-proof, travel, and silicone. So just choose one, enter it into the search bar yourself, hit that space bar and see what it generates. And let me know in the chat what you guys find. All right, we got some serious ones. We got some travel pillows, silicone baking mats. Those are pretty cool. That's what's so cool about this is I just chose a few. Leaf-proof lunch containers, sippy cups, all of those look like good ideas and definitely worth looking into. But we're going to keep this kind of short because we're going to go into our own product research, but it's so awesome. See how easy it is, guys? And then you can just go to the next one and go to the next keywords and just keep on going and find your own leads this way. You'll also notice this is a good way to find leads that have a low saturation score. So again, let's do this for real. I'm into it if you guys are. If you guys can just give me a few seconds and let me just transfer over to my Google account and we'll do it some live product research just for a little bit. All right, so we are here right on my main page and all we're going to do is kind of take advantage of the AMZ Scout features. And one of the best features is that it works on most pages on Amazon. So I'm just going to hit today's deals and I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to hit, let's go with kitchen. So I'm just going to narrow it down to a department just because I like to. Kitchen's a good one because it's largely ungated. And I'm going to open up the extension. Now we got to let it load. Obviously, this isn't a true niche, so there's certain things that are going to be unavailable, saturation score, niche score, things like that. But we're just looking for some leads just based off of some interesting ways to do product research that other people aren't doing. What's so great about doing things in a unique way is you're able to find really awesome products that other people don't really know about. So I'm going to hit RPR because we're going to be looking for something that has high revenue, low reviews. That's kind of my goal right now. So I'm just going to hit that and see what I can find. Obviously now I need to start looking for things that can be private label or FBA. I'm not looking for things that are hard to remake if I'm trying to source them. So when I find one of those cheat sheets, interesting. Okay, this is a good one. Food storage containers. Most likely this is going to have a million different things to look at for the niche. But what I'm going to do for this product research is I'm going to click on it. And then I'm going to take the root keyword. So I'm going to go with pantry storage containers. You can add more or less, but for this, we're just going to do those three. And the most important thing to do is make sure that you go up to all departments. You don't want it to be, again, not looked at. You want it to be as if you came right onto Amazon, just wrote in pantry storage containers because that's what you're looking at as a customer. And that's what you want to base your research off of, is what people are actually researching. And that's why niches are so important. So I can tell right away that there's some variety. There's definitely some big brands here. We got Rubbermaid, but I can also see some things that are definitely private labels. So let's bring up the extension. All right, so we can see right away overall score is a 6, but again, that means that I want to take a better look at it. I want to see what's good, what's bad. Saturation score of 0, only 2 sellers have found this month. That's pretty awesome. Average reviews is really high. That's something that I would definitely be discouraged by. I think that would be hard to compete, especially against different brands like Rubbermaid, especially. But the average sales rank's good. The price is really good. It's really nice. And the average monthly sales is good. If I wanted to look into this a little bit farther, maybe I'd add it to my saved favorites, but I'm just going to move on. Let's hit some niche keywords. All right, so it looks like we got a lot of keywords to choose from: food, storage, plastic, pantry, large, containers, labels. Okay, so I think labels is interesting. I don't think I've done any research on labels, so let's take a look. Copy it, and then we're going to go up to our search bar, put it in, space. Labels for folders, clothes, daycare, storage bins. roller bottles. So I'm looking for something a little bit more specific that might give me a better overall. So I'm going to go with essential oils. That seems to be where a lot of people like it. I feel like a lot of people like essential oils now. You can see a lot of differentiation. These are most likely all private label brands. So I'm going to bring this up. And I'm just going to close that just so we can look at the overview. Again, saturation score is quite low, only 2 again. And a niche score of 7 is pretty good, but it's something I want to look into. The average reviews is under 200, so it's definitely understandable. But the biggest thing that bothers me about this particular niche is the average price. It's just not high enough. Even if you're able to source something for like a really low amount of money, I think that $10 is hard to actually make any significant money, especially with the average monthly sales only being 163. And you can kind of see that reflected in the estimated revenue. 1,000, you have some 3,000s, but unless this is something that you're trying to add in maybe your brand that is essential oil brand, it's not something that I'd be interested in pursuing. So we're going to do niche keywords again. And again, we have just a ton of information, a ton of ideas just at our fingertips. We basically have like 20 leads every single time you do this. And let's go with, let's do waterproof. So we're going to copy waterproof and paste it in, space bar. All right. Mattress protector, speaker. Let's just go with shoe covers. That seems interesting. It's probably pretty light, easy to make, and you can see pretty quickly that it's definitely has some private label brands to it. This is going to be an interesting niche. Definitely want to look more into it. So as you can see, it's loading, but you can also already see some basic information already getting into it. So again, what I'm most interested in, I think with this one is the monthly sales looks good. The average price is right at my range. I don't really want anything lower, but that's a good indication that this might be worth getting into. Maybe if I make it really good, I can raise the price, quality product, or maybe even doing like double bags. There's different ways that you can go about like kind of raising your price in a way that people aren't offended. But right now, just off the bat, looking at it, I'm definitely interested. Average sales rank is still under 100. I still like it. I definitely like the average monthly sales, but I am looking at the saturation score. 19 people have found this. That's not that many. I'm definitely interested. And I'm looking at some of these estimated revenues. I see 6,000, I see 5,000, I see 35,000, another 6,000. So I see a lot of potential here, and it seems like it's a fairly new niche. I do see a few 2017s. I see some nice variety between FBA and it looks like merchants. So again, might look into this, see how much I can source this through, and then I'm going to hit it again. Let's do it one more time. And again, tons of different information given right at your fingertips. And let's go with, right, why don't we do the silicone? Silicone always seems to be a decent one just because silicone has gotten so popular. It's definitely a good thing to research some like plastic, reusable, things of this nature that people are really interested in right now. So I see silicone straws. I feel like that would be not enough money. So why don't we go with wedding rings for men? All right, so we see some packs, we see some singles. It seems like it's a good variety, but I can pretty much already tell the price might be a little too low. So I'm going to open it up and analyze it. And I can already tell just from the average reviews that this is something that I would just pass by. Anything that's really above 500, I think it's going to be a hard sell. You can even see the RPRs. You know, it's essentially every like 100 sales you generate a review. And to compete against 691, that seems a little unrealistic. So let's just do one more, hit the niche idea button and see what we get. Now this could be good, this could be bad, we'll just see. So again, that niche idea button, everybody has access to it, so it's a good thing to remember. And as this is coming in, I'm definitely interested in it. Average monthly sales looks really good. Even if it's over 500, average price looks right on, you got 30. Average reviews, again, it's still under 200, but this is definitely something that I would look at and definitely do more research on because I'm 100% interested in it. I definitely want to find out more about it. So again, I would just save this one. Looks like there's a few different versions that you can choose from to source. I would definitely save this one, but again, like right now, I need to get on so you guys can actually see the bonus. So I'm gonna pop onto that. So if you guys could hold tight for just a few moments, let me pop that back up. And we've done it for real now. You guys can see that it actually works. We found some pretty awesome products, and actually like only really one or two that I probably wouldn't even waste my time on, but the rest were good. And I was talking you guys through it. I could analyze that pretty quickly, move on. You could probably do something like 20 to 30 of them per hour, maybe even more if you go through a bunch of them. But again, it's not essentially, it's always to do it. So let's get moving. So today we've gone over how to use the Pro extension like the expert, focusing on using your time wisely, analyzing effectively, and then how to generate some new ideas for yourself using keywords and some lead generation with some niche button ideas, things like that. So it is bonus time. Now, this bonus time is going to be offered for the next few days, so make sure you guys take advantage. It will be right on the link. If you click the bonus link that is right on this page, you should be able to access it. Right now, we are at about $40 discount, it looks like, for the lifetime. That's a pretty good deal. You buy it once, you never have to worry about it again. And it's definitely worth it. If this is something that you want to pursue and you want to make a career out of, or you want to do part-time, or you're looking, maybe you're a teacher and your summertime's coming up and you're looking at ways that you can make money for yourself and really invest into a business, this is the perfect way to do it. So I highly, highly recommend get that lifetime offer, spend the 250 bucks. It's a one-time thing. You'll never have to do it again.